The rain was falling softly over the city when Shen Yue stepped into a place few even knew existed. She thought it was just another quiet meeting, a quick conversation before heading home. But waiting for her in the farthest corner was a man whose name alone could change the course of careers, industries, and maybe even destinies. Their eyes met, and in that instant, the air shifted. What followed was an offer so shocking, so life-altering, that it would pull Shen Yue into a world she never imagined she'd enter. The cafe they entered was not the type frequented by the ordinary public. Hidden behind an unmarked door on a quiet street, it opened into a world of hushed voices and rich aromas. The lighting was warm, yet deliberately dim, as if encouraging secrets to be exchanged in the safety of shadows. Shen Yue had just removed her coat when she saw him. Tall, with an air that spoke of authority and control, the man was seated in the farthest corner, a place where he could see the entire room without anyone sneaking up on him. His suit was tailored to perfection, but it was not the expensive fabric that held her attention, it was his gaze. Calm and unwavering, as though he could see far beyond her public image. She approached slowly, each step feeling heavier as the moment stretched between them. He rose from his chair, offering a polite nod. His voice when he spoke was low and deliberate, the kind of tone that could silence a crowded room. "You came." There was something about the way he said it that made Shen Yue pause. Not as if he was surprised, but as if he had been certain all along that she would. She took the seat opposite him, her curiosity mingling with a faint unease. "I have been watching your work for some time," he continued. "The industry talks about your charm, your talent, your dedication. But that is not why I asked to see you." Shen Yue leaned forward, her heart picking up pace. "If not for that, then why?" The billionaire studied her as if weighing how much to reveal. "There are opportunities, Shen Yue, that only come once. But they are not without risk." His words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. Outside, the rain tapped against the window, a quiet percussion to the tension building between them. Shen Yue could feel the pull of something far greater than a casual business meeting. This was not about a film contract or a brand endorsement. It was about stepping into a world she had only glimpsed from afar, a world where power was currency and alliances could change the course of careers overnight. Then, without warning, he leaned closer, his voice dropping to barely a whisper. "What I am about to offer you will change everything you know about your life, your future, and perhaps even the people you think you can trust." Shen Yue felt a shiver despite the warmth of the room. She searched his face for signs of jest but found none. His eyes held a promise and a warning all at once. "Tell me," she said, her voice steady though her pulse raced. The billionaire smiled faintly, as though he had been waiting for those exact words. "There is an event next month, an exclusive gathering attended by only a handful of people in the world. I want you to be there. Not as a guest, but as someone who will stand by my side." The idea seemed impossible. Shen Yue had heard whispers of such gatherings where deals worth billions were struck in a single conversation, where a casual smile could shift the balance of entire industries. "Why me?" "Because you are not afraid to stand in the light, even when others want you in the shadows." His answer was both a compliment and a challenge. She wondered if he knew the weight of the offer he was placing before her. To accept might open doors she could never have imagined, but it would also place her in the center of a storm she could not control. Before she could respond, the door to the cafe opened suddenly. A gust of wind carried in the scent of rain and the murmur of the city outside. A man in a dark coat stepped in, scanning the room before heading straight toward their table. His eyes locked briefly on Shen Yue, then shifted to the billionaire. "We need to talk," he said quietly but firmly. The billionaire's expression did not change, but Shen Yue felt the shift in the air. Whatever this was, it was bigger than her, and yet she was already part of it. The newcomer leaned down, whispering something into the billionaire's ear. Shen Yue caught only fragments, words that hinted at urgency and danger. The billionaire nodded once, then turned back to her. "It seems we will have to continue this conversation sooner than I thought. Be ready." He stood, paid for their untouched drinks, and left with the man in the dark coat, his presence lingering even after the door closed behind him. Shen Yue sat in the dim cafe, her thoughts racing. She had come expecting a simple meeting and had walked straight into the first chapter of something far larger than she had imagined. The rain outside had eased, but the storm ahead was only beginning to form. The rain had slowed to a mist by the time Shen Yue stepped back into the dim café from the small private hallway. She had taken a moment to collect herself, to study her thoughts after hearing his voice and feeling the weight of his presence. The billionaire sat exactly where she had left him, posture relaxed but eyes sharp, as if every detail of the room was a piece of a puzzle only he could solve. Without speaking, he gestured for her to sit. When she did, he slid a small envelope across the table. It was plain, unmarked, yet carried an unmistakable gravity. "Open it," he said quietly. Her fingers hesitated, then lifted the flap. Inside was a single photograph. It was not what she expected. The image showed a sprawling estate under the glow of twilight, its towering gates partially open. Standing just inside was a figure in a long coat, face blurred, but the posture familiar in a way that made her chest tighten. She looked up. "What is this?" "A place you will visit," he replied, "but not for leisure. That night will change more than just your career." His words were calm, but there was a hidden weight behind them. Shen Yue could feel it pressing against her. She had dealt with directors, producers, and influential figures before, but this was different. This was not about the industry she knew. This was about stepping into a world where every action could ripple into something far greater. "Why me?" she asked again, this time with a sharper edge. The billionaire leaned forward, his voice low enough that even in the empty café, it felt like a secret. "Because you are not afraid to look someone in the eye, even when you know they could destroy you." The sentence landed with a quiet force. She could not tell if it was meant as a compliment or a warning. Before she could respond, a faint vibration came from his phone. He glanced at the screen, his expression unchanged, then slid it face down on the table. "We have little time. There are people who do not want this meeting to happen. People who would prefer you never step into that estate." Shen Yue felt a chill despite the warmth of the café's golden lighting. She wanted to ask more, to demand answers, but the look in his eyes told her he would not give them yet. Instead, he stood, his coat moving fluidly as he placed a heavy hand on the back of her chair. "Be ready, Shen Yue. You have no idea how close the storm already is." With that, he walked out into the misty street, leaving her in the glow of the café's dim lights, holding the photograph of a place that suddenly felt less like a destination and more like a doorway to something she might never be able to close again. The rain had stopped completely by the time Shen Yue returned home, but her mind was far from calm. She set the photograph on her coffee table and stared at it under the soft glow of her living room lamp. The estate looked majestic, yet there was something haunting about it. The half-open gates, the solitary figure standing inside, the way the shadows seemed to reach out toward her. She tried to focus on her evening routine, but her eyes kept drifting back to the image. Finally, she picked up her phone and sent the picture to an old friend, someone with quiet connections and a knack for uncovering the truth. The reply came quicker than she expected. "Are you sure you want to know who owns this place?" Shen Yue frowned. "Yes, tell me." Minutes passed before her phone buzzed again. The words were simple, but they struck like a jolt. "It's your father's." Her breath caught. The estate, the figure, the strange familiarity. It all rushed into her mind at once. She had not seen her father in years. Their last conversation had ended in silence and distance, and she had buried that part of her life deep enough to believe it was gone. Her fingers trembled slightly as she picked up the photograph again. If this estate belonged to him, why had the billionaire been the one to show it to her? And why now? She barely had time to process when her phone lit up again, a new message, but not from her friend. The number was unknown, and the text was brief. "He is expecting you. Do not be late." No name, no location, no explanation. Just those words, as if whoever had sent them knew she already understood. Shen Yue rose from the couch, pacing slowly as thoughts collided in her head. If the estate was truly her father's, then the billionaire's invitation had not been about opportunity. It had been about drawing her into something much older, something rooted in a past she had tried to forget. She could still hear the billionaire's voice from earlier in the café. "Be ready, Shen Yue. You have no idea how close the storm already is." She looked out the window. The city lights glittered like 1,000 silent witnesses to her thoughts. Somewhere out there, her father was waiting. And somewhere even closer, the billionaire was pulling invisible strings. Shen Yu's pulse steadied, a strange calm settling over her. If they wanted her to walk into the estate, she would. But she would not walk in blind. Because now, she understood something she hadn't before. The offer was never about stepping into his world. It was about reclaiming her.
If this story had you hooked, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share it with everyone who loves mystery and drama. The next chapter is coming, and trust me, you won't want to miss it.